admire anybody who took it on to read that whole book and made it through. I was kind of one of the leading environmentalists in the country. I went to work for commercial fishermen on the Hudson River in 1983 when I first got sober, and I wanted to do something with my life that I felt drawn to, and I'd always been an outdoors person. I'd always been a fisherman and outdoors with wildlife, kayaking, and all that stuff. And I went to work for commercial fishermen on the Hudson River. We began suing polluters. They purchased a patrol boat and began patrolling the river, and we sued. While I was there, we sued over 500 polluters. We forced polluters to spend almost $5 billion on remediation of the Hudson. And today, partially as a result of our work, the Hudson is now the richest waterway in the North Atlantic. It produces more biomass per gallon, more pounds of fish per acre than any other waterway in the Atlantic Ocean north of the equator. The miraculous resurrection, and when I first started working on the Hudson, it caught fire. It was dead water, zero dissolved oxygen for 20 miles north of New York City, 20 miles south of Albany, no life in it.
It caught fire. It was that polluted?
It caught fire. It would turn colors every week, depending on what color they were painting the trucks at the GM plant in Terrytown. It was really, my father toured it in 1967, and it was regarded as a national joke. Well, today it's an international model for ecosystem protection. And the miraculous resurrection, it's the only waterway in the North Atlantic that still has strong spawning stocks of all of its historical species of migratory fish, of the anadromous fish like striped bass, sturgeon, herring, alewives, blue crab, etc. And the miraculous resurrection of the Hudson inspired the creation of new river keepers. We copyrighted the name, and we started helping these other groups get started. And today it's the biggest water protection group in the world. So we have 350 water keepers. Each one has a patrol boat. Each one patrols their local waterway, and they sue polluters. And we're in 46 countries. So in 2005, I was representing a bunch of water keepers all over the United States and in the provinces of Canada, suing coal-burning power plants and cement kilns for discharging mercury. 2 years before, in 2003, the National Academy of Sciences and the FDA had published a report, like a 5-year study, that showed that every freshwater fish in America had dangerous levels of mercury in its flesh. The CDC simultaneously published a study that showed that 1 out of every 6 American women had levels high enough in her core blood or that her child would have some kind of intellectual deficiency, like lost IQ, etc.
And where's the mercury coming from?
The mercury was largely coming from coal-burning power plants. It's in the geology in the coal, and it precipitates out, when there's rain. When you burn the coal, it's in the, it's an element, so it doesn't degrade. And when the rain comes, it falls onto the landscapes, and it washes off the landscapes into the rivers. And the fish were all contaminated. We know that saltwater fish, like the big predatory species, have mercury, but the freshwater fish are just as bad. And it struck me then that we were living in a science fiction nightmare where my children and the children of every other American could now no longer engage in the seminal primal activity of American youth that I had grown up with, of your parents taking you to the local fishing hole and then coming home and safely eating the fish. You can't do that anymore in the United States of America or anywhere in North America. And so we started suing coal plants and cement kilns, which were the primary contributor of mercury. And there were a lot of people suing coal plants back then, but they were suing them for other reasons, for ozone particulates, for acid rain, for carbon, etc. And we were focused, the water keepers were mainly focused on mercury. So I was also pushing legislation about mercury, lobbying EPA to reduce it, and I was giving lectures all over the place. So the